previous episode, our friends embarked on a pursuit of the crocodile, whom they believed had kidnapped their cat, Shashu. They got into a canoe and chased the kidnapper until the moment when the vessel they were pursuing docked along the riverbank. They got off and were now lost in the forest. "Aren't we going in circles?" said Paco. "I don't know," whispered Luis, scratching his head. "But I reckon..." Just as he was about to finish his words, he heard a loud snap. It was as if someone was treading on a twig. "Hush now," he whispered in a hushed tone. "There's someone or something nearby. Quick, let's hide. There's a hollow tree trunk right there. Let's sneak inside." They scurried into the tree trunk, finding a snug hiding spot. They were hidden real good. Couldn't be spotted from outside, but the downside was they could not see much either. So they tried their darndest to quiet their breaths and calm their hearts, which were thumping so loudly that it made it hard to hear a thing. They heard whispers and someone talking, or rather grumbling vehemently. Who was it? Who seemed so agitated, so angry? Unfortunately, they couldn't see a thing due to the thick vegetation and the encroaching darkness. They decided to remain hidden until nightfall. They could not afford to reveal themselves now and risk getting caught or startled. They didn't know who they were dealing with, but it certainly wasn't someone from the village who seemed to be planning to spend the night in the forest. The night was incredibly tough, you can imagine, for an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. To spend a night alone in the forest was definitely not a walk in the park, even for two brave boys. The forest was filled with sounds, the wind rustling through leaves, nocturnal creatures, and cracking branches. It felt as though there were many beings around their makeshift shelter. Luckily, it wasn't cold, one of the advantages of a tropical forest. The temperature was pleasant, however, they didn't get much sleep. Thankfully, they had each other. They huddled close, lifting each other's spirit and finding courage to face the next day. At dawn, as they emerged from their hiding spot, they discovered a multitude of trucks. As they woke up, they decided to eat some of the food that Paco had packed away. This brought up their energy level and their mood, converging towards a single location. There had been a lot of activity. There were boot prints, the same boots they had spotted the previous day, but there were also crocodile footprints, many crocodile footprints. "Look," said Luis, "they're heading towards that place over there. Let's follow them." They set off on their way. The crocodile footprints, which were once again leading towards the river, seemed to vanish as if by magic, just a few dozen meters before reaching the water. "Indeed," said Paco, "crocodiles don't jump into the water 30 meters before the river." "Where are these trucks gone?" "There's only one solution," said Luis. "There must be a hidden passage, something we can't seem to find. We need to hide and wait until we can spot one of these crocodiles and understand how they disappear." "That's a great idea," exclaimed Paco. "Look, there's a tree here that we can easily climb. It will keep us out of sight." Now elevated, they could observe anything happening below. They didn't have to wait long. After a few minutes, or perhaps half an hour, they saw the first crocodile poke its snout out. Unaware of being observed, the reptile retraced its steps grabbed an old branch attached to a stump along the path and pulled it with its wide open mouth. This action triggered a whirlpool of mud in the middle of the path. As the dust settled, Paco and Luis caught sight of a tunnel that delved underground. The crocodile had opened a secret passage, allowing it to disappear beneath the earth, evidently heading towards the river. With astonishment and surprise, Luis whispered, "What are we going to do now? Should we follow it? It seems dangerous to me. We don't know where this tunnel leads." "Listen," said Paco. "We didn't come all this way to try and save Shashu, only to turn back now. Come on, let's go for it." They climbed down from their perch, advanced along the path, and both grasped the branch attached to the stump, pulling in the same direction the crocodile had done moments before. The passage opened up just as it had for the crocodile. It was like a muddy tunnel descending into the earth. They entered it, and after a few meters, the passage closed behind them. In the darkness, with only a faint glimmer of light ahead, they continued onward, driven by their determination to find their beloved Shashu and unravel the mystery that lay ahead. They were heading straight towards the river, and they could feel the increasing humidity in the air. After walking less than 50 meters, they heard a noise behind them. They turned around and came face to face with two large crocodiles that began making incredibly peculiar sounds, intense sequences of high and low frequencies punctuated by teeth clattering. "It's crocodile language," immediately realized Luis. Paco and Luis stood frozen for a moment, unsure of how to react. The crocodiles seemed agitated but not aggressive. They observed the boys with their piercing eyes, their tail swaying back and forth. It was as if the crocodiles were trying to communicate something to them. Paco and Luis were not familiar with the ways in which crocodiles and animals communicate, but it seemed to them that they could understand and discuss the situation with one another. The calls of the two crocodiles attracted others, and soon Paco and Luis found themselves surrounded by about 20 crocodiles in the middle of the muddy tunnel. It was dark inside the tunnel, but a few torches were attached to the walls, providing some visibility. The crocodiles appeared to be tense upon discovering humans in that tunnel. Yet, they were not displaying overt aggression. However, our young friends were unaware of this. Feeling overwhelmed and uncertain of how to proceed, "Paco," said Luis, his voice filled with regret, "I believe we are in a very dire situation. These crocodiles will surely try to eat us. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I shouldn't have. It's my fault." "No," replied Paco firmly. "We both made the decision to come here. Perhaps I should have tried to dissuade you. It was not a good idea." And just then, they heard a voice behind them. Whose voice? Saying what? Well, we'll know more in the next episode.